Howdy, folks. I'm Jim Nash, your Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner, and welcome to Water by the Quarter. This show is dedicated to exploring and understanding all the issues around fresh water, what we depend on, and what we're doing about it. Today, I have two really terrific guests here. Starting out with Damar Bias. He works for Oakland County Water Resources, and he's our Affordability Coordinator. He's going to be talking to the communities about what we're doing and to individuals, all the things that we're going to have around affordability. He's the guy they're going to call. So also on my left here, we have Kelsey Cook. Kelsey is one of my managers and my chief legal officer at Water Resources Commissioner. And she's been in charge of this project from the beginning, which has been over 2.5 years now. So real quick, I just want to discuss briefly why we're doing this. When the pandemic hit, a week or so before the governor announced that we should be stopping doing shutoffs for water services, we decided to do that ourselves because we recognize that this disease was coming, and it's very important to make sure that we're ready for it and that we're preparing. So when we're starting to recognize we'd have to come back and likely start shutoffs again, we recognize that we have to do something about this. The old industry standards around late fees and shutoffs and things just don't work anymore. So we had to make sure that we're trying to design something more really sustainable and long-term as an affordability program. And that's where Kelsey started this program and a couple of others. Here I have today Kelsey and Damar, but we also have Julia Ruffin, who is my community liaison. She's been on this ground floor of this. And Sarah Rubino, who is another of one of my attorneys, and she's been really working hard on the legislative side of this and going out and introducing it in larger segments of the population here. So I'm going to start out with Kelsey. Really kind of just tell us what this affordability study is that we did and what the report meant.
Sure. Thanks, Commissioner. So the water affordability study really, we started by forming a coalition of folks that knew right away we needed to get the community engaged and get people together, because if we're talking about water affordability and planning, we need to be planning with our customers and not for them specifically. We then recognized an opportunity through the state of Michigan where we applied and received a grant and allowed us to really work on this issue of water affordability closely. And so we wanted to see, what the rest of the nation was doing with water affordability before we jumped in and started addressing our couple focus communities that we had in mind in the county. And we really did research across the nation and did interviews of utilities across the nation, different affordability plans that were out there, that were proposed, if they were implemented, kind of followed through to see, how did they turn out? What were the lessons learned so that we could get a wide understanding as we were diving into it, what already existed. And then through the process, which was about a 2-year process, we compiled a report. And it basically provides for an affordability plan specific to our 2 focus communities in Oakland County, which were the city of Pontiac and the Charter Township of Royal Oak, for how we could address water affordability for those folks. We also put together kind of a step-by-step instruction guide and shared all of the information that we learned so that other communities in the county, but even in the nation, could get an advantage and get a head start on creating their own planning and kind of next steps to address water affordability.
And that worked out, extremely well. And you led that effort. Now, Damar, you came in a little later, a little over a year ago now, I think. And so you've been working on this issue. How do you see this in the communities? Now, again, the 2 focus communities you've been working with the most are Pontiac and the Township of Royal Oak.
Yes.
What do you think? How has that been received by them?
Having a direct presence makes a difference. And what Kelsey stated is true, that you have to speak to the community, not just do what you think that they need to be done on their behalf. So that was key. And the fact that Kelsey said step-by-step, no, it is a doctoral of how that they can make it work in other communities across the state. A lot of work went into it. Being part of the process definitely eases the mind of the community. It wasn't that this was done and just forced upon them. They were questioned. They came in on the coalition committee when they had the opportunity to speak. So that was huge. A lot of times they don't have the opportunity to speak. They feel that way even at some of the local council meetings, that they don't get a chance to really speak their mind and understand what the needs of the community truly is. So the ability to go in and actually just talk to the people on their level, it does tremendous work for them.
It was really well done. So this stakeholder group, now we took a broad range of groups and people and leaders. We had politically elected folks all the way from city council to Senator Peters. And when we were working through that, can explain, we started this internally, and then we recognized there was a grant availability, and we went for that. So why don't you explain the grant a little bit, what we did from that?
Sure, yeah. So we, as you mentioned, internally we recognized that we needed to get these coalitions together. We started out with 2 separate coalitions, one for each community, and kind of started with the basics of, things that maybe they were interested in related to what we do and the services we provide, how to read your water bill, how to, know if maybe there's a leak in your home to help conserve water and get that water bill down naturally. Then with the grant opportunity, we're able to easily kind of, combine the 2 groups that we already had started and then gain other regional leaders, like you mentioned, even, up to Congress people and state representatives. Our regional partners at Great Lakes Water Authority were a big part of the coalition as well. And I know DeMar, intends on expanding the coalition countywide to capture an even larger audience. But through the grant work, we checked in with them monthly, kept them up to date on what we were doing, asked them questions, community, engagement and feedback, and really recognized that the people who are in the coalition are the trusted leaders in their communities. And so if we could get information to those people and then those people shared it with everyone else, it was really coming from a trusted source. And so that really helped a lot with the whole grant report and all of the action items that we ended up delivering from that.
It was well crafted because we had that impact from the folks in the community. We also talked to activist groups. Some of them not even from the community, but have an interest in the regional aspect of that. You talked to them a lot, and I remember you spent a lot of time on the phone, kind of really going into depth and getting their side of it, showing what our side was. How did you think that worked?
Yeah, so that was a tremendous success out of our efforts so far. So there, like you mentioned, there's a lot of water activist groups, and they, really have people's best interests in mind. And so we were able to partner with them and explain, from the utility business side, this is what we need to take care of to make sure that we're still delivering, safe, quality drinking water, and we need people to pay their water bills in order to have the money to do that, recognizing that not everybody can pay their water bills. So that's where we were able to really work together with those advocates, and they learned a lot from us and we learned a lot from them. And now they're some of our biggest supporters moving forward. And so, it's really developed into a great working relationship.
That's how we can develop these coalitions, is to really listen and pay attention to what they're saying, make those changes if they make sense, and that's how people build trust and get those things really off the ground. So, again, I want to appreciate you guys saying that. So, real briefly, on the kind of the higher level and the more ground street level, what is the affordability program?
Yeah, so I'll start out just kind of how it came about, what we currently have in practice, and then DeMar can maybe talk about all the details and how it impacts customers. But, like I mentioned, we worked really closely with Great Lakes Water Authority. So the Great Lakes Water Authority has the Water Residential Assistance Program, and that's something that's been in place for many years. It basically gave income-eligible households a $25 credit on their bill. And through our work with the Affordability Grant and just the work of our office and collaborating with the Great Lakes Water Authority, we realized that people really need a bill that takes into account their household income and the amount of their monthly water bills, both factors, because some communities naturally pay more than others just based on their infrastructure and other different contributing factors. And so Great Lakes Water Authority was able to kind of recraft their water residential assistance program into what we have now that we can offer our residents, and that's income-based. So it's now administered through the United Way for Southeastern Michigan, where I'll let DeMar talk a little bit about our collaboration on that. But it's a huge step in the right direction. It gives income-eligible customers 2 years of affordable water bills with also arrearage assistance if they have past due balances. And then for households with seniors or people that are disabled, it gives them infinite benefits. So DeMarc could probably talk a little bit more about how it works on a day-to-day basis, though.
Right. So you're going to be coordinating this, getting the communities involved, doing all the work with the individuals for a long time. And how do you see that? What do you see with that?
The biggest thing was, like Kelsey mentioned, the income-based approach. There was very much hesitant to go through the paperwork process of trying to apply for a program knowing they were only getting $25 a month. It was assistance, but they didn't see the true benefit. So now that it is income-based approach, that it's just to open the eyes of the community that those that are in need, that there is real help available. So that's the day-to-day operation, just communicating and responding to emails and phone calls of those who are really looking for assistance. We actually are speaking to other communities who have failed to opt in because they have people who are in need who need that assistance. And it's not fair to isolate them based off a zip code. So we want to make sure that everybody is eligible to receive assistance is getting assistance, and that will help us to pursue a statewide program. As long as we're not exhausting the funds that's out here, it's going to be hard to convince state legislation that we need this program. So my job is to continue to push this program on the ground level and make sure that the citizens are aware that real help is available. We did have another program under the terms of LIWOP through Low Income Housing Assistance Program. Unfortunately, that program is now running thin, and we're not sure the true end date, but there is some funds still available. So affordability is a huge issue, and we're just trying to tackle it as soon as possible.
Sure. No, it's true. So, with affordability, it's not just heavily, economically disadvantaged communities. It's every community has people in it that have an issue with this. So whether it's just 5% of your population, 10%, that's still an impact on your budget, and it's definitely an impact on those people who have a hard time affording it. So one of those things that it's so important is the health and well-being aspect of having water and sewer services, and without that, people are in real trouble. So this was really meant to make sure that the people who have the most difficulty with affordability are served by this. Anything most you want to add to that? I mean, what do you think that impact will be on communities?
Yeah, I mean, so I know, Commissioner, some of the words you live by is that, we never want to shut someone's water off for a household that truly cannot afford to pay the bill. Everybody deserves to have quality water service. And so, and like you said, that does exist in every community. And so, it's taken a little bit of time, but I think that, as communities get more involved and, talk to people like DeMar who, are in the weeds on this and know that it can really benefit their residents, the residents have an answer, and it's not that large of an administrative burden on the municipality to, accept a payment from a third party and, send out a bill that has that, discount or credit or assistance or whatever it might be on the bill. That I think that people will see that. Also, the additional funding that comes in, supports the water and sewer funds that the local municipalities have, and that provides, more funding for them to deliver a higher level of service or be able to finance some of the projects that they need. So really, it's a win-win for municipalities as well as all the residents. So I think people are starting to really see that.
And for a long time, a lot of communities would resist raising their rates to keep up what is called the true cost of service, which is what really needs to be done to keep a system sustainable. A lot of communities over the years have fallen behind that because they didn't want to hurt the ratepayers by raising rates to do this kind of work. Mm-hmm. So you see this as a payoff for that too, right? Yeah, absolutely. And those communities who maybe felt the pressure not to raise rates because they were, looking out for the residents at the time. They're now a little bit in, a sticky situation with the infrastructure needs it. And so they're looking at larger rate increases. So it's even more important than ever to have an affordability program. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are the challenges? How are we doing? What's the resistance? Is there any? And how is that progressing?
Yeah, I think it's just the resistance is just perception that's not necessarily based in experience. And so, DeMar, that's probably as nice as the way as I can put it. and I don't know if DeMar has any more information on that one.
It's definitely the perception. And as you say, this is citizens in each community across the state that could benefit. So it's just a perception of assistance or affordability being like a low budget or low hanging fruit item, and it's not. Those who need this help really need this help, and we have to acknowledge that fact. And it's not based off zip code. It's based off what life is happening, raising interest rates, raising grocery prices. So people are really having to juggle on what bill to actually pay. And if we can able to provide this assistance, I think those citizens in those communities need to speak to their elected officials, let them know that they need this. And that way we don't have to fight an uphill battle, and we can help as many people as possible.
Right. Again, because this really supports the having a big enough balance in your accounts to do the work that needs to be done, and not spending a lot of money on all the costs that surround shutoffs and all the things that it harms people. It costs the system money. If we can get around that and have a way to subsidize the low income folks in getting their water, that goes a long way towards making sure. Again, health depends on having good water and good sanitation, not just for the people involved, but the people they go to school with, the people they work with. If you're taking an illness, a waterborne illness to a work, to another family, all those things, it has an effect outside that family, in the community itself. So part of what we're doing is protecting public health in everything we do, and this is one of those ways I see it. So, in this process, are we making friends? We're convincing people of this? What's the reception of what we're doing?
Yeah, it's been really positive. I just remember at a town hall that we had in the city of Pontiac, not too long ago, at the end of it, we had multiple people come up and just say, like, thank you for being here. Like, we want to see you more. Like, thanks for just coming out and answering our questions. And so, on the, resident level, I think it's been welcomed. We've had more and more folks from across the county, their communications folks reaching out to ours to figure out how best to communicate the information. And then obviously from the state level, I know it's a big issue and hot topic with the state legislature right now. So I think we're making a lot of positive movement with good reception.
That is terrific. That is great. So DeMar, when you're working in these communities, have you reached out much beyond the first two communities, Royal Oak and Pontiac, or are we working on that still?
No, we're working on that. Those were the biggest target markets. We have had other conversations with Farmington and Farmington Hills, and we are really working on Oak Park. Oak Park has shown here lately that they really have a need, and we need to make sure that those citizens are getting assistance. So the word is getting out. It's just now to make those elected officials understand the benefits of the program, because a lot of them were still thinking of only the $25, which was done years ago. So the changes, I think, will now outweigh those negative thoughts of the program.
Well, that's good. We want people to recognize there's a resource that's available to them. Wasn't that available even just a few years ago? So we want to make it as out there in front of folks as we can, because this can really help people and make sure that they get the water they need and the sanitation they need, because, again, it's very important for your own health and the health of your communities. So, again, we held monthly meetings with this stakeholder group coming into that report, and that was about a year ago now. We released that report, and since then we've been meeting quarterly.
Right.
How do you see this progressing over the coming few years?
Yeah, I mean, I think the meetings are, they're well attended, and I think with DeMar expanding them to all of Oakland County, it will really be helpful, because I think there's going to be a lot of new developments coming up this year and next year, and people are really looking to our office as a leader and helping them navigate those. So I only see it, becoming more popular.
That's great. Now, we've had partners in this. You mentioned Great Lakes Water Authority. SEMCOG has been a partner with this. What other groups have been involved significantly in this?
Yeah, I would say Detroit Water and Sewerage Department. They have their own affordability program right now, the Lifeline Plan, but they've definitely, I'm in contact with them weekly still, just to bounce ideas and work together on a path for the state. And so there's definitely a lot of regional partners. We work with Grand Rapids a lot, and just other communities, as well as all the advocate groups and academics as well. University of Michigan, as well as Michigan State University.
So this, again, is a very broad, well-informed, very, very tied to the community's kind of group here. We'll be meeting quarterly just to kind of make sure that as we develop this, it's got that input again. So we're doing that properly. I just think it's terrific. And again, your leadership, the whole team has been just wonderful. So first of all, how can people get more information? Do we have information on the website?
Yeah, we do. We have our website dedicated to it. So it's oakgov.com/affordability. Make sure I got that right, Tamar. Yes. And there we have all of the current affordability programs. We also have a link to our full report. We have a lot of contact information, ways for folks to get in touch with our office, to Tamar directly. And so everything is housed there. Online, but we also have plenty of flyers that we have out in the community, and social media we use a lot to reach people as well.
No, that's good. We want to get out there and reach people. If anybody's interested in this, please go to our website. oakgov.com/water is for my bigger website, or for just this part of it, it's oakgov.com/affordability. This is something that you might find a lot of interest in this. Again, it's a well-crafted program that we've developed here, and I think it's really going to do well. So, as your role as the coordinator, how do you see what do you see people coming to, and how will you work with them?
The biggest thing, part of the affordability planning, was a piece called People First Policies. And so that was the feedback from the communities of where did they feel that their comfort level was with us as a water department. And so we looked at that, and quite a few things in there needed to be changed. So there has been some changes in the building department, some different trainings taking place, as well as now, early next month, I'll be doing in-person meetings with any community person who is looking to sit down, talk over their bill, whatever their concern may be. So they'll be able to get some one-on-one help, as well as they'll be able to pay their bill in person via check or credit card. We're still not taking cash yet. That's a whole nother process. We may cross that bridge at a later date, but we still will give them an opportunity to come in person, be able to sit down and talk to a person and feel more comfortable about whatever they're going through right now.
That's good. And people, if anybody ever has questions, never hesitate to reach out to us. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable reaching out to us, that we're going to serve you the best we can, and make sure you have the water you need. So that's important. Real quick, what's the Water Hardship Assistance Program? What are we doing with that?
With the Water Hardship Assistance Program, we saw the bigger need that is across the state. So we do know that the low income is a huge issue, but there also is that segment of population who runs into situationals that happens throughout the year, throughout their life. And this is, you may lose a job, you may have been hospitalized, any of those things that just throws a hiccup in your day-to-day operations. And we want to be able to get an opportunity to still provide those people some assistance as well. So we will be taking public and private donations, as well as we're looking to get some funds from the Oakland County Board of Commissioners via the ARPA funds. So there is going to be some funds available for people who are experiencing a temporary hardship that need assistance for that time.
Well, that's, again, another good program that we got input from the communities that made us recognize this was a need. We only got a couple minutes left here. What are we doing in terms of legislation in Lansing?
Sure. Yeah, our office is actively involved. We meet multiple times a week. So Senator Stephanie Chang is taking the lead. She's worked on water affordability for nearly a decade. It seems like it's closer than ever to coming to fruition to have a statewide water affordability plan. And so we have a couple pieces of legislation they're working on, but there's one part of it that creates the affordability program. And so everyone in the state of Michigan, every municipality will have the ability to join an existing state program or create their own that meets certain criteria. And then we also have a funding source as well to charge every household or every water meter essentially $1. And so that will create a statewide fund with the addition of other federal and state monies that can be contributed to it to be able to reallocate those funds back across the state to provide people with bills that they can afford to pay. So this will supplement what's currently existing in Oakland County with the income-based RAP program, but it'll be indefinite, hopefully, for a lot of people who need it, where their income doesn't change after 2 years and suddenly they can afford, to pay more. So I think it's going to be a huge advancement for the state.
No, I do too. And this is the kind of thing we need, a sustainable budget source. And this, we just can't depend on every year legislation. So I really appreciate you guys coming here today. If this is something that means a lot to me, and I know you guys are you have hearts in this thing, and it's really shows. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So thank you for being here today. We're glad to have you. And anybody have more questions, contact our office. We'd love to help you. Thank you so much.